Dr. Jarrod Spencer, sports psychologist with the company Mind of the Athlete, and it's my pleasure to be here today with a legendary college basketball coach of Lehigh University, basketball coach Brett Reed, who just recently led his team to the NCAA tournament with a wonderful win over Duke. Brett, it's great to have you here with me today.
Thank you. It's always great to have a chance to talk a little bit with you.
Well, what we're trying to do here today is we want to share a message with FCA coaches around the country about how do we regulate our emotions. When Brett's team was playing Xavier prior to that game, he said on national TV, we've got two great opponents out there. One is a fantastic basketball team. The second is our own emotions. And you know as a coach that it's very difficult on the biggest stages to help our athletes to stay calm, to regulate those emotions, to perform well. Brett's teams obviously have done that this entire past season. We wanted to hear from him a little bit about how he does it and how we can take a few pages out of Brett Reed's playbook and put them in yours. Brett, how do you help athletes regulate their emotions on the biggest stages?
Well, to take our postseason, for example, it was very difficult because we came off an emotional high with a win against Duke. And there's always the tendency for every emotional high, there's a corresponding emotional low. And we wanted to make sure that we avoided that at all cost. So part of it was to make sure that we had the chance to embrace the moment, celebrate it enough, and not dismiss it too soon because that's unnatural. But then also to be able to identify a key component with our competitors, and that was, were they satisfied? And if we could identify that they were not satisfied, we could actually get into that reserve of emotion that there was a new challenge and a new opportunity.
I think that's a key point you mentioned about how even a big win can take us emotionally a little too high, and consequently that becomes problematic. And so you were able to keep that in proper perspective to avoid the big crash later. So in the locker room prior to the second game against Xavier, what are some things that maybe you said or did or encouraged the athletes with so that they would be a little calmer, knowing that they had to perform again on a very big stage?
Well, actually, the approach can be different at different times because every athlete has different levels of emotional energy that they need in order to perform to the best of their ability. Right. And sometimes as a coach, if you try to orchestrate too much, it can end up being counterproductive. But for that particular game, I felt that we needed a more of an emotional charge, more of an uplifting type of message to make sure that we could gather those emotions and collectively we could have the energy that we needed to start the game very strong. So generally speaking, it might be a little bit more of a calmer approach, but for that game it was more unifying our team, getting them to focus in on that one vision that we had, and ultimately challenging them whether or not they were satisfied. And when they could collectively say that they were not and they were ready to compete and fight, that's when I felt we would have the emotional energy that we needed to make sure that we didn't come out flat for our next game.
I remember you sharing with everyone on national TV about, are they satisfied? And the answer was no, they weren't. They wanted more. But I think the key takeaway message that I'm getting from you right now is that as a coach, you read their emotional energy and you knew when it was time to let them celebrate, when it's time to ramp it up a little bit. But the fact that you pay attention to their emotional energy is a huge part in your success, I'm sure.
Well, I think it's really important that you understand all the complexities that make an individual successful. They're not just good basketball players because they can put the ball into the basket. There's elements of confidence, there's elements of trust, there's elements of togetherness, there's elements of personal needs that they have. And the greater recognition you have of that as a coach, the more able you're trying to put together a product that is very successful on the floor because it is so much more than just X's and O's.
It is more than X's and O's, and clearly you've done a great job this year. Thanks so much for sharing your message with me and with FCA coaches across the country. We really appreciate your words of wisdom.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure to have brought this to you. Get out there, take this content, do something with it, make a difference in the lives of your athletes and beyond. May God bless you.